Mike Bako is sports director for DailyNational.com. Mike, thank you for being here. So
Thank
just
you.
so our viewers know, so now we had two, then boys, now grown men who came out. They were once ball boys for Syracuse University's basketball team, who claimed that this guy, assistant coach, had sexually molested them. Then people came out and said they're not credible. This is a shakedown, including Jim Boeheim, the coach of SU basketball, said this is a shakedown. But then now this third alleged victim comes out and says he did it to me too. That plus this audio tape were enough for Syracuse University to fire this coach. Do I have it right?
Absolutely. You mentioned it in your opening. It was the last straw. It was the proverbial nail in the coffin, at least as far as his employment goes with Syracuse. He was fired by Syracuse, and now the law enforcement procedure has to take its course, but it's really damaging evidence right now against Fine.
Okay, but obviously, when you have multiple people coming out and making these allegations, you have to pay it more attention. It's not one lone accuser. It's three guys now who are coming out and saying this guy did this to them, and it's not an allegation most men want to make or even admit.
Absolutely, and that's why it took so long for these allegations to come out.
Well, but now, are there credibility problems with the first two victims? Because I thought it was very interesting, having gone to Syracuse University, that Boeheim was so quick to come out and say, "Oh, it's a shakedown. These kids are about money. These guys they want money from Bernie Fine. That's what this is about." Now he's dialing that way back.
Certainly, Boeheim dialed it way back, and he actually put out a press release saying that he was sorry for his comments. He really came out in support of Bernie Fine. He was his assistant coach and friend for over 35 years. So obviously that's going to be the tact that Boeheim's going to go with. But now with this phone recording that's come out and other assorted allegations, Boeheim has really taken a step back from that and actually supports the firing of Fine.
But do we know how credible the first two alleged victims are? Because one of them is the one who made this tape recording. He's the guy who we hear on there talking about how, why was I targeted? Why was I so interesting to him? And the wife is saying there was something about you. This is the same woman who then herself went on to have an affair with this boy when he turned 18. So the whole thing is very, unfortunate. But do we have anything other than this audio tape right now to support his story?
No one's hands in this entire affair are clean at all. You mentioned Bernie Fine's wife slept with this one accuser, Bobby Davis. Mike Lang, his stepbrother, has some issues going on in his life. This new third accusation coming out by a person from Pittsburgh, Zach Tomaselli. His father has come out and said that these allegations are false, that he never sent his son to Pittsburgh to be with Fine during a sleepaway game, never had any knowledge of him being in a hotel room. So each person in this developing scandal has some dirt behind them.
Well, and the third person to come out, this Zach Tomaselli, not only is his own father denying his son's claim, saying he never had alone time with his coach, but that accuser is himself facing charges of child sex abuse.
Yeah, with a 14-year-old.
Yeah, right now. So, I mean, there is a question about whether he is credible or not, but there is also a question, when you hear it on audio tape for yourself, it's very persuasive when you hear the alleged victim talking to Bernie Fine's wife, and she seems to be acknowledging something. But, Mike, in a court of law, that tape would have to be authenticated. You have to lay a foundation that it hadn't been doctored, that the topic was as they are representing it to be, and it hasn't been messed with since then. Has any of that been done?
Well, by law enforcement sources, we're not sure. By ESPN, they said that they have verified it by two different sources.
That it was her voice.
That it was her voice.
But not whether the conversation had been switched around. I'm not saying it has. I'm just saying that's what you would make sure of before you admitted it in a court of law.
Certainly, and that's why law enforcement forces would be doing that. The feds are now involved because of this latest allegation, transporting a minor across state lines. So now the feds are involved. So if the feds can't get to the bottom of it, I don't really know who else can. So I'm sure that there's going to be a due diligence process as far as that tape goes.
So as it stands now, Bernie Fine is fired. He is not yet facing any criminal charges. They're looking into that. What about Syracuse University? It says it didn't have this tape? It never had this tape?
They said that they did not have this tape. ESPN actually had this tape in their possession as early as 2003. So ESPN might be dragged into this a little bit.
Well, what did they say is the reason for not doing, something with it? I mean, did they go to police? Did they do something other than listen to it and play it?
That's really where ESPN comes in on this. They said that they had it, but that the initial accuser, Bobby Davis, played it for some of the law enforcement officers, and they really couldn't do anything with it. So in terms of verification, in terms of moving forward with this story, that's why ESPN didn't bring this to light until now.
I just want to clarify what you said. Somebody was in my ear. You said that ESPN did play it for law enforcement enforcement authorities?
Bobby Davis played it for law enforcement authorities, according to him, back when he made these initial claims. But of course, at that time, there were statute of limit considerations that were involved. That's why these charges never came about when he initially made these claims.
I don't know whether there were or there weren't. I'd like to look up the law on that. The statute of limitations, normally it tolls, meaning you get an extension once you become an adult, once you realize, but the law differs state to state. Mike, thank you very much. And I want to tell our viewers that in about half an hour, we're going to have an in-depth discussion on this. In Kelly's Court, ESPN actually released 3 sound bites from that taped interview that one of the alleged victims made with the wife of this coach. We're going to play the other 2 and have a discussion about just whether this coach should be charged, and if he should be, what about the wife, if she really was aware of abuse? Coming up right here. Well, he was the head of the International Monetary Fund, considered a contender for president of France, until a housekeeper in a Manhattan hotel accused him